Hey, welcome to Unpack Radio, and it's your favorite uncles. And we are here to unpack the issue of the male ego. There's been a lot of shenanigans going on. I sent out a video to everyone. Hopefully, they saw it because I thought it made a great conversation piece and a big impact about a true story of a person who transitioned from female to male. They realized that it was a lonely journey to be a male and they will be an outcast. And unfortunately for that person, they could not handle the fact that men do not express their emotions freely. So unfortunately, they deleted themselves and they did not complete their journey, which was very sad. But these are some of the conversations that we need to have about why we're not open and honest about how we're feeling, especially with our own anger and mistrust. Dr. Bishop Parham, as a person who works with the youth in county jails and federal jails, why do you think anger management is a big issue within the community with the youth?
Well, good evening, everyone, to all the panel, to my colleagues. I feel as though that when you talk about anger
You need
management,
to lift 2 times a week.
on different
Increase the
scales
amount
and
of
different
fiber
levels,
right now, which would come most easily through vegetables, and also
Who was that?
Was
I'm
Right.
mad about it.
hey, he said juveniles and something came out.
Vegetables.
It's like I think that when you talk about the anger management about it, a lot of people feel as though, and as men, we don't like to cry. Number one, number two, when it comes to us with our cognitive behavior, certain things that we accept and we don't accept. And when it comes to anger management, it's hard for a man to express himself and show his true feelings. So when he can't show his true feelings, it come out as anger. When it come out as anger, then that's a whole different entity of stress, depression, and things of that nature. So it's hard for us men. I'm just gonna be real about it, and then we all just tell the truth. Some of us we can't really control our anger because we are men. We are trained, we are taught, we are raised to be hard, raised to be tough. Like when you're in the gym, you lifting weights, you used to lifting 350 and 450, but as a man, you may be angry, you may try to lift 500. So as a man, we don't just let it go. We just try to go the distance with it.
Brother Jack, I know you had your own personal issues,
Yep.
so briefly tell
So
us.
I just enrolled in anger management because I've been pushing down feelings and holding back my emotions, holding back my personal trauma, holding back things from the past, and I've been snapping at people, personal relationships, my marriage. In business, it has affected me. It has made my life harder. So I went at a point and I said, you know what, I need help. And the thing that I discovered at anger management is one, that anger is actually a good thing. Anger tells you when you've been unjustified. It's how we respond to that anger, um, whether it's good or bad. And so that's what I'm learning. I'm emotionally weak person. I've just discovered this. And like I was a physically weak person when I started my strength journey, I made it and I dedicated myself to becoming stronger physically. And I'm going to take that same energy to be stronger emotionally and express myself in better ways. One of my most vulnerable places is behind the wheel of a car. I've snapped at some of my good friends recently while I was driving because I let the stressors get to me and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize that I was, picking up adrenaline. My muscles were clenching, but they were watching all this and I didn't even realize it. And then I snapped at them because we got a little bit lost. And the reaction that I had to being like 10 minutes, lost was inappropriate. And so now I need to learn better skills on how to express this anger. And I think young men should be taught that, pushing down feelings is the weak response. The strong response is becoming mature in the way you react to anger and stuff. And anger is actually good. And we need to express anger by being assertive, not by being, there's 4 forms of communication: assertive, aggressive, passive, and passive aggressive. 3 of them are not very good, but the assertive one is always a good way of communication. And I'm learning that. It makes me uncomfortable to be assertive to people, but I've been learning to develop that, and it makes me so I don't react in an explosive way. The passive people are the most dangerous people because they're holding it back for so long, and they can tick like a time bomb. So that's my personal, I'm going through a personal journey with anger management right now because I've never been taught how to be emotionally strong, and I'm just going on that journey right now.
Thank you for your truth, Brother Steve.
I think regarding anger management, I think it's not uncommon to see some of the youth and even the young adult, especially men in today's day and age in this society, who are very angry. And you could really get into the nitty gritty of what some of that is, and whether that's lack of purpose, lack of guidance, lack of direction, whatever that may be. I do think that there is this rising, almost like a rising social tide of anger towards all sorts of things, whether it's political, economic, whatever. People just seem to be very angry these days, especially the youth. And I think that one of the best things you can do regarding coping with that is having healthy relationships where you can speak on these things. And if that's not with a therapist, if that's not with your parental figures, if you're a minor, if that's not with your best friends, then it needs to be with somebody. Because you're right, like an explosion is made greater by the pressure it's contained in. So it's like the tighter you hold on to some of these things and the things that you're not sharing, those can be the explosive events later that can have disastrous consequences long term that some of the youth don't see today. And I have friends who made split-second decisions in anger, and it got them 7 years in prison. Your life will never be the same. Like, I promise you, you're now a registered felon. You've lost some of the earliest, best years of your adulthood. And that was because of an impulsive, instant decision. So I try to be aware of some of the long-term consequences that can come from some of this anger, because I can get really righteously angry as well, and I'm a big person skilled in violence, and so it's like it's one of those things I have to really be aware of, and having those healthy coping mechanisms, I think, is the best thing anybody can do.
Kevin.
Guys ahead of me made really great points. I'll just elucidate on a couple of them and repackage them so that maybe for the folks that heard what was already said and is about to be re-expounded upon, will reach them. It's a skill. It has to be learned. That is why young people, there's 2 reasons why young people have such a hard time, particularly young men. It's because they haven't had time to learn the skill, and they haven't had the opportunities to learn the skill. In addition to that, there's some biological factors like our ability to foresee and truly understand and accept consequences is part of our brain development. For a lot of people, that doesn't happen until they're like 25 years old. So especially when you're young, and especially when you are taught by society passively and subliminally, not really honestly all that actively, that your worth is both what you bring to the table and how much you can endure without complaining. If you get hurt, you're told, don't be a sissy. My mom told me that. I broke my ankle so badly, it was facing the other direction. And before my mother even looked at me, she told me to stop crying. It wasn't that bad. So yeah, we worked on that. We're in a really great place now. She had shit that she had to go through and work through. But I had to learn the skill how to control my anger while I was in the Marine Corps. And I served, my very first year was 9/11. So like in the worst possible circumstances, I'm trying to become an adult, learn how to deal with my issues, my anger, my trauma from being raised by 2 alcoholics. I was a very, very angry person. And I love the analogy that Steve made, because he's absolutely right. If you take a pile of gunpowder, just a pile, and you throw a match on it, it fizzles. You wrap some paper around it, and it explodes. It's that containment that provides the space for the reaction to build up to become truly dangerous. And it is a skill. You have to learn it. You have to be given opportunities to learn it. And you even have to be given opportunities to fail gracefully. I was given those opportunities when I lost my temper, and I was given a little bit of space, particularly in this relationship that I'm in now, to see what I'd done, what I'd said, the impact of that. But when you're young, the last point that I'll make, Your feelings are the truth. And that's so important to understand. What you feel when you're young and you haven't developed the skill set to be able to say, okay, this is how I'm feeling, but what is objective reality? And how does how I feel relate to that objective reality? And do I need to change my perception or the way that I'm feeling based on objective facts? Like, that's a skill we build over time. When you're young, and the reason, and I've seen it as a Marine, as somebody who worked in anti-narcotics, fighting, cartels, anti-human trafficking, radicalization happens in the young so easily because their feelings equal truth, and they have no reason to question that, and they have a reduced capacity to understand that there's a difference between objective truth and what they're feeling. That is a mechanism that is really easily taken advantage of by people who know better, who at the very least understand that it is a bit of emotional leverage they can use to get this person to do what they want, driven through their emotion.
Dr. Bishop, I see you have a question. Let's see if Ryan has a statement, and then we'll get to your question. Ryan, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys now, so if you can hear me, you want to shoot me the question again, Norris, just because I want to reframe it in my mind.
All right. Me and Jack was having a sideline conversation just a few days ago about anger management and why is anger management important, especially with men.
All right. I'm going to echo then. Everyone was very articulate on this one. It's a very important skill. I personally think anger management is almost a secondary skill to one that everyone seems to be lacking, in my opinion, which is enlightened self-interest. Seems to be one that a lot of people just can't get it. It's, what are the consequences to your actions? How is it going to benefit you? And that's been stamped into me by my folks from the beginning. It was always enlightened self-interest. There was always consequences to my actions. So if I flew off the handle and got angry, how did that benefit myself? It didn't. So then I slowly learned over time, and I'm like, partially it's easier for me. I'm a chill guy up here in Canada, certain things keep us extra chill too, right? So I'm pretty relaxed all the time. But really, my anger management has not been a problem because of the earlier lessons in enlightened self-interest, doing something you don't like to get something you want, figuring, helping out somebody else to get somewhere you both need to go. But really, flying off the handle and being angry doesn't benefit you. So if you have the earlier lessons of doing things to benefit yourself, and I mean that in the best way, if you help yourself, you help others around you if you help yourself be a better person. So I always tried, enlightened self-interest is a lesson that kind of should come before anger management. Both are valid, and I'm lucky on this one myself. Even when I got into some trouble, like when I was a youth and all of that, much the same kind of thing as Steve there. It was, I still understood the consequences, and it wasn't for me being angry. It was stupid choices, but I made those choices. I don't know if that's better or worse than snap decisions. I did it for a profit, but, it's really, everyone said some awesome things, and I just wanted to put in there, enlightened self-interest is something we should all look into a little bit.
Dr. Bishop Parham, I saw you had a question.
It wasn't. I wanted to go back with the youth. Working in that environment, right now I have 26 juveniles between the ages of 13 and 17, first degree murder and attempted murder. I have a couple there for rape. I have a couple there for strong arm robbery, B&E. So it's like what I see with the youth is when there is no attention given to them, their anger, they reflect their anger and they go out and rob people. They go out and shoot people. So it's like the anger is there, but they don't know their way of releasing it is in a very deviant way. So it's like anger management with kids of today is deeper than what I think that we need to look at, because psychologically, emotionally, these kids of today, they're thinking that when it comes, they don't even think it's anger. They just want to have a get back, something to do. And the anger part of it is, it's just like explosive, like you were talking about the gunpowder. If you drop a match in it, it'll fizz up. But once you wrap that paper around it and you contain it in a very solid way, then you have an explosion. And a lot of kids today, they are that explosion, because now they're going out here and they're robbing, they're shooting people, because guess what? They are angry at the father that they don't know. They angry at the mother that won't buy them these Jordans or KDs. So it's like it's deeper than what we can look at when it comes to juveniles or the youth of today. And I like how he said feelings equal truth. They're going to express their feelings with the truth. And their feelings is, I don't give a hell about nobody because that's true to me. So I'm going to explode. I yield.
My next question is, it seems like this is a self-harm issue. So why does the male ego lead to us destroying ourselves with alcohol, drugs, or crime and violence? And what are some of the solutions that maybe we can impact so that future generation don't follow in our footsteps? Yeah,
I think with me personally, that's why I found powerlifting, is because I was a PI for 8 years and there was a lot of stress from the job. I've had like guns pointed at me. I've been in very high, stress chases with people and stuff like that. So I would come home and I would need a stress relief. And I think young people need that. I think us as older people need to be better mentors to young people and offer them things to expel this energy, to express their feelings and emotions. It doesn't have to be powerlifting. It can just be like, men's groups where they're safe to express their feelings. They're safe to cry. They're safe to, scream, yell, express these feelings that they have bottled up inside. And I just don't think we've given youth, we failed them. We haven't given them a lot of options. I know I wasn't given a lot of options. I was in juvie when I was 11, 12 years old. And I remember it was, be violent or you're weak and, you'll get your ass kicked. And that's what happened to me. You know what I'm saying? I got my ass kicked until I started acting violent, and I kind of carried that with me. And it's taken years to undo. So I think that we, as, an older generation, have failed the younger generation by not giving them the proper outlet, by telling them to bottle up stuff, by having that message in social media or whatever, that, you're not manly if you express emotion. You're actually very manly if you express emotion. It's just how you express that. That's what I believe.
Steve.
I think that there's a lot to be said for the lack of direction and lack of guidance that some of the youth may be feeling, particularly some of the at-risk youth who notably don't have father figures or positive male role models. And the data's out there, guys. Like 80% of the prison population was raised by single mothers. 80%, like that's not a small margin. That's what they call like statistically significant, like super significant. And so it's like when we can start to see that there's a lack of guidance for some of the youth, and there's this, there has to be the recognition that young men get angry. Like it's part of puberty. It's part of growing up. It's part of the process of maturing as an adult. And when there's no guidance, when there's no direction, when there's no sense of community, and there's no belief that they can become better or strive towards something, then there's no outlet. Life can suck, man, especially when you're young. And if you have no sense of direction for why it sucks or ways that it's going to get better, then yes, it's very easy to get in the mindset of nothing matters, because I don't feel like I matter. I don't feel like I matter to society. I don't feel like I matter to my parents, to my missing father, to whomever. And it's that lack of worth. It's that lack of the topic that Ryan was speaking to that I think leads to just this inability to process, this inability to move forward in a healthy way, because perhaps no one's shown them how. There's not a belief that there is a way because they haven't seen it.
He's rejoining us.
Yeah, fucking around with my camera. My bad, Steve. Go.
Okay. No, I'm done.
I think one of the things that Steve said is incredibly important, and it's what I wanted to say, is that anger is going to happen. And I think that so often the answer given by people who do not understand is don't be angry. That's not the answer. Every human being gets angry. And if you never learn how to actually channel and deal with that, or what to do with it, how to cope with it, how to direct that energy and to dissipate it, then you're going to be harming yourself, and you're probably statistically going to be harming the people around you. And what comes to mind is, it might be a little bit hokey, but what comes to mind is every single coming of age story you have ever seen in the movies, from every single culture. It doesn't matter if it's Bollywood, Hollywood, if we're talking about black cinema, if we're talking about cheesy ass after school special Lifetime original series, that's for us white folk. Every last one of them where you have a young man who is coming of age, you have a figure that meets their energy. Don't be mad. That's never the solution. You take a movie like, that was really famous for it, Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams met his energy. They didn't start to understand each other until Matt Damon could see himself in the longer toothed version Robin Williams. We have to meet their energy and show them that, yeah, we actually do understand. We don't devalue or demean the child's individual experience by suggesting that they don't know anything about life, but we give them enough information to say, no, I do know what it's like to feel powerless, to feel angry, to feel like the most ready solution I have is to see if I can punch them so hard they explode into a cloud of glitter. Like, you have to show them that what they're feeling is human, but it also can be directed into something positive. And that's a lesson I needed to learn multiple times in my life. It's as recently, I'm almost 45, and it's as recently as 2021 that I had to recommit myself to being a more positive person, because the direction that I was returning to was an angry person who felt justified in the way that I was lashing out at those that I thought was wrong. And I was doing damage. I was inspiring other people to follow suit. And I was getting people who were ready to fight me. And as much as a big, big part of me would really have enjoyed that, it's the wrong answer. Like, I still get angry, and I say to myself, violence is not the answer. It's on the list, but it's not the first option. It's not the second option. It's not the fifth option. And that's still something I have to process, because once I'm removed from the situation, I can't think of a single case that I'll share on here where I ultimately came up with the decision that violence was in fact the answer and it was the most appropriate. Those situations do exist, but at the end of the day, we have to meet their energy. We have to show them that what they're feeling is valid. So you have to validate, acknowledge, but also beyond that, teach them what to do with that. So you can't just say, don't be angry. And you also can't just say, you know what? Yeah, being angry is cool. Being angry, I understand why you're angry, and then do nothing with that. Both of those things are damaging. We have to guide them through to a better solution, a better alternative, someplace to put that energy that gets them resolution for what they're angry about to some extent, but also mitigates and minimizes the damage that unchecked, unrestrained anger will inevitably do to them or the people around them.
Ryan, before you jump in, Kevin, to be all honest, I know what situation you're talking about, and you were justified to whoop that ass. And if his homeboy want to jump in it, I would have helped you whoop the ass too. We ain't gonna name no names, but Ryan and Remington James.
No. If they wanted to fight for charity, I would have fought them for charity. I'm thinking of much more serious stuff. No. Threaten me on the internet. That's fine. I don't care. I'm a public figure. It happens. Whatever.
Yeah, that was a hands down.
That was funny. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry, man.
Oh, it's all good. Frame the question for me again, Norris. After listening to 4 great speeches there, about I want to start from scratch.
I noticed, especially in my space, the hip hop space, and especially with these young men I'm trying to save from jail, it seems like they're on what we call in the DMV a dummy mission. They're doing self-harm. So why are they doing self-harm to themselves? And what advice can we give them to stop them from pretty much sending their own selves down a rabbit hole of misery and despair?
All right. I think it's, again, everyone brought up some of this lack of direction from the kids, I think is a big one. A lot of the culture aspects of instant gratification, clicks, likes, subscriptions, and I don't mean that again. Everything click, like, everything is an instant endorphin hit, and you get hooked on that. Every book on addiction is about instant endorphin hits. So if they flame out, they react on social media, they express their anger, the reactions they get are the drug. And it's really about putting that in a positive direction. Like, if you play football, you can get some aggression out on the field. You're going to get adoration. You're going to get cheers. You're going to get some gratification back. If you go powerlifting, go to the gym, you're going to get that anger out. You're going to get some positive aggression. You're going to see your gains. You're going to see little wins. And then what I try and do when I mentor young men is, I have a motto that I've been living. I've brought this up a couple times because I come from a checkered past, is be the man I needed. So that's really important to me. So if I see some young fella going through an anger situation, when I was there, I know that, but it would be the dumbest thing in the world to say, don't be angry, or, oh, I know this or that, or I went to school uphill both ways in the snow. Like, nobody needs to hear that. They need to hear, as Kevin mentioned, you got to understand where it comes from. You got to point them in a proper direction. It's the best. And whatever that is, if that's for them, if that's, church on Sundays, going to the gym, playing football, watching the game, having an outlet, having people to talk to. But I really think that the root cause of that is instant gratification culture, I think, is where you need to see 3 steps ahead and get some gratification about the journey, about the work, about anything like that. And that's what I try and instill in the young guys I meet, is that, hey, man, it's going to get better. It's going to be ups, it's going to be downs, but you want to go up. And making some snap decisions or doing something crazy or doing everything for some like on the internet isn't going to get you anywhere. It's just going to get you, just check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
100% facts. And I noticed as you did bring up, fortunately for myself, a 80% person who was raised by her, but one thing she did do was keep me in a lot of activities to keep me out of trouble. And even though our mayor had his misgivings in the DC area, he had a great youth leadership program which kept us working, so I didn't have to go to the streets to make my money. So I'm just very fortunate as somebody who was strongly misguided and made all the bad decisions, that I didn't make any permanent bad decisions due to just being an ultimate fuckboy. Now, in this hip hop space with especially youth of color, every time I look up, every week I see a rapper going to jail for 15, 20, 30 years or getting killed on these streets. And I noticed that Ice Cube said on a very popular interview that behind the scenes, there's people pushing them towards the narrative of violence. So what can we do as men to change the culture so our young men don't keep on going to jail falling behind some stupid ass rapper? Dr. Bishop Parham.
First of all, let's look at what hip hop is compared to rap. That's number one. Number two, we have to look at this. When we look at the entity of what's going on today, if we look at what hip hop was, we got to go all the way back to Kool Herc. Kool Herc started hip hop. That's the founder of hip hop. Now, once we start looking at this thing called rap, now we got like wait a minute, what my kids told me today. We got Soulja Boy. We got all these. We got Kodak Black. Then I had to let them know the rap today is not like rap of yesteryear. There is nothing in songs today, to my opinion, that will save the children of today. All of them want AK-47. They want the money. They want the bling bling. So we have dropped the ball a few years ago. Kids today, they look at rap. They don't have the culture of the inside of hip hop. When we look at hip hop, we're talking about Kool Herc, Run DMC, Houdini, the Fat Boys. We're talking about hip hop where we understand what B-boys was, what it meant to get out there, make your money, not robbing nobody. So my thing is, as men, powerlifting, we're going to have to start showing the kids of today that there's more to society than just being a young thug, walking around with your pants down. And I tell you, I was so angry. I was in the airport coming back from Fort Lauderdale, did my last recording, and I was like, I seen this guy working in the airport with his drawers showing. I said, my man, you don't have no self-decency. You have a job. Well, this is what I do. I said, my man, you need to respect yourself. You know, I think that we need to like powerlifting. Start talking to them about things that's positive. Don't be afraid of them. And I think the worst thing that we as men can say is, I know how you feel. When we say, I know how you feel, then they're going to go back to something that Kodak Black may have said. They may go back to something somebody else may say. But I don't know. I'm going on a tensy with this because they think that the music of today is actual, factual, how people live. And this is where we have dropped the ball. We don't talk to them about reality. What's reality? You go out here and shoot somebody, you go into prison. That's reality. Reality is you go out here and stick up somebody, guess what? Just because you don't have something to do, then guess what? You're going to prison. That's what reality states. We need to get them in the gym. Look at Mike Tyson on the verge of going nowhere, became a professional boxer. Somebody took time out for this young man. And there's a lot of other ones out there in the same frame. We as men need to take time with them. I see that Steinfeld piano in the background. Teach somebody how to play.
Hey,
powerlifting.
In all fairness, Dr. Bishop Parham, your generation was the fun generation. Me, Kevin, Ryan, and everybody else, we in the same generation. Eminem told us to bury our wife in the backyard. Ice Cube told us fuck the police. And then after that, he told us he was straight out of Compton. And then furthermore, he told us, you know what I mean, he was a gorilla in the mist. So my generation, we all about guns. And then the next generation after that is Future Kid, Molly, and Percocet. So
I think,
how to penetrate this, but hey, it is what it is.
And see, I'm gonna tell you what I told a kid.
Am I telling the truth or that?
I'm telling the truth. But see, my thing is, I told a kid this: if you come at me with a Glock 19, and I pull out a Smith and Wesson 50 cal, you want to talk guns? Let's talk guns. But the reality of it is, you're 17 years old. How you gonna survive in prison doing a life bid?
Good question. Because I just did a video today. Somebody was his jail assignment was washing the drawers for another inmate.
Yeah.
As man washing drawers. That was his job.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna yell. I told him this: PREA, the Prison Rape Elimination Act, saved a lot of kids today. Because if you look at that video about Felice Johnson on YouTube, he said booty
was a drug
better than water.
That's the Booty Warrior.
He said booty was better than water. And when the kids seen this, they said, Bishop OG, is this real? I said, this man done raped over 200 people.
Yeah, it was real.
He said, I'm the booty warrior. Yeah. He said, either you're going to get down or lay down. Take your pick.
The scary man.
And he's free. And he said he still wants booty.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Jack, you all right up there, Jack? You all right?
I'm okay. I got to watch out for the Booty Warrior, though. Hopefully he's not anywhere in LA.
Walking around free right now, okay? I suggest you watch out.
Yeah.
Some of us without felonies, we carry our CCW because fuck that.
Yeah.
But Jack, what can we do, bro?
My turn. So yeah, I think that a lot of it comes down to mentors because, people listen to like death metal music with like highly, suggestible lyrics and violence and that sort of thing. And, they're fine. And usually that's because of the type of mentor they have. They know that's fiction. They can watch, a movie like Pulp Fiction, let's go with, and see all the violence in that and know that, that is not reality. That's not that's not an appropriate way to act. And so a lot of these people that, go ahead and really get involved with the hip hop community, the violence involved, the sex, the money, the drugs, and all of that. I think it's really they're misguided, and they just don't have a good mentor to, you know, lead them down a productive life. Instead, they're holding on to these fantasies, and they're not seeing the reality behind those actions in those fantasies, where, you know, you end up in prison and you're, you know, attacked by the booty warrior. So that's what I think.
Of modern rap and some of the modern gangster rap going on. And man, it's some dark stuff, dude. Like when you start listening to some of these lyrics by rappers like King Von, who's notably dead, you know what I mean? Like you start listening to some of the actual rappers who are actually about it, and it starts to, you ask yourself, well, what would make kids look up to this? What would make kids seek to emulate this when the obvious outcome is death? And it's there's a list of rappers that have all died in recent years. Major rappers, Young Dolph, Pop Smoke, like some of the biggest rappers in the industry. And ultimately, I think Jack hit it right on the head with his lack of positive male role models. And so when you have these young at-risk youth and there's no father figure in the home, there's no positive real male role models, they seek that out in the culture. And when the modern culture is saying that this is the pinnacle of, say, excellence in the hood, which is where they're at, for example, then that's where you start to get into the situation where they start to want to emulate that. And some of the issue with modern rap now is, while it's an entertainment industry, we had a problem for a long time, like starting in the mid 2000s, where if you were going to try to rap about content that you didn't live, you were going to have a really hard time in the industry. And that's going to come from other members within the industry who have actually committed those acts and do actually have legitimate gang ties. So it got to the point where if you wanted to quote unquote make it as a rapper, you had to actually be about that life. You had to actually have gang connections. You had to actually have bodies. You had to actually have a criminal rap sheet. And when that's seen as the ultimate pinnacle that you seek to emulate as an at-risk youth, it's like, Jesus, man, like that's what we're aspiring to, is the Glock with the body count, and that's what we're aspiring to. And I get the money, the women, I get that rap videos make everything look great, but kids today aren't stupid. Like they know these rappers are dying, but I think it's the lack of positive male role models and the lack of what they think are viable avenues for them to be successful in life. If they feel trapped in the hood, they feel that they don't matter. They feel that that society doesn't care about them. Well, then why would I not try to get it how I get it, you know, type thing. I think it all kind of ties back to the original issue of anger management. And I think we can attribute a lot of it to lack of positive male role models, lack of positive father figures. And like these kids are going to seek out those male role models. They're going to seek out those father figures. And you better hope it's you or their actual father. You better hope it's like a positive male role model, because a lot of these people that they're emulating, that they're looking up to, man, it's just going to get them killed.
I definitely feel where you guys are coming from. I'm going to jump in real quick before Kevin jumps in. I know as you guys were talking about male role models, and I mean, maybe on the other side of the fence, you guys could probably penetrate through a little better than me or Dr. Bishop Parham, because unfortunately in the inner city, it's hard to penetrate through all the bullshit. Even if you can get to these youth, you have to get through their mother, who's probably worse than the drug dealer on the corner. And that's being honest. The mother has to want the resources and help. And sometimes she don't even want the resources and help. So it's really hard to penetrate through and be a positive role model, because the role model in the household, she don't want to hear nothing of it. And that's just being honest and open. Kevin.
So everything that everybody said before has inspired my current reaction, because I grew up while both of my parents struggled with alcohol, they both kicked it, and they are both amazing, wonderful people who have really turned their personal tragedies into helping a lot of others. And I got to watch that happen. I got to follow suit. So I am very, very, very lucky to have the breadth of experiences that I've had. The thing that you all touched on that I really want to call attention to is a valid alternative that's appealing. That's the through line to a lot of what you're saying. When presented with something that is just as valuable, something that they can pour their energy, direct all of that emotion, that feeling, search for validation and worth to distinguish themselves into something more constructive, and they do that, it's always amazing. And we look at them like they're some marvel or some example of excellence, when that can be the rule. It can. Like I grew, aside from my incredible hair and cheekbones, there's nothing exceptional about me. I don't have exceptional genetics. I had exceptionally good luck. You know, I was born into a stable enough family. We went through our challenges, but I went from stable enough environment to stable enough environment. And I always found myself within arm's reach of something positive to lean on when I started to drift into the negative. But if you take an example like Mike Tyson came up before, his life was a mess until he found a positive role model. It was outside of the house. It was his damn coach. And what happened to his life when his coach died? It immediately went downhill. I'm not making that up. I'm not projecting that on him. That's the man's own words. When he lost his coach, he lost his mentor, he lost his mind, he lost his heart, and everything went downhill from there. And it took him decades and a prison stint in order to find himself again. And I'm glad to see that the guy is doing well now. And sometimes it takes us that long. But if we can consistently find mechanisms through which to give young people, particularly young men, a valid, appealing alternative, not a lecture, not chastising them for their lack of moral compass. Because at the end of the day, this is what I want to say about rap. And this might, I'm from Maine, okay? Like, I am the whitest person in here, and I'm taking on the Canadian. So I think that we've got it backwards sometimes. And I just have a different opinion than you, Dr. Parham. I apologize if this rubs you the wrong way. But I believe that rap is an expression of, and all music is an expression of our frustrations, hopes, dreams, anxiety, and difficulties with society, not the other way around. I think that the way that society is drives what we hear in music and in cinema and in books, as it has for the longest time, well before rap. And I don't think that I do not believe that it is singular in this driving of behavior. From what I can see from the outside, and I am an outside observer, what I can see suggests to me that there are deep struggles within a community that are being expressed through a musical medium, and in the void of an appealing alternative, kids are gravitating towards that example and emulating that example. I think that's a problem. I think we could do something about that. And I think the fact that we have it is an indictment of us, not the expression of that frustration and that instability that our music becomes. Now, that is pushing aside the stuff that is strictly manufactured by algorithms and people who know what's going to hit and stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the guys who talked about their experience. I'm talking about Tupac, who, it might surprise some folks, I absolutely fucking love and thought was brilliant. That man is a poet. Should have been a poet laureate. I'm talking about stuff that makes me uncomfortable to listen to, but it gives me some insight into experience that's completely alien to me. That's still art, even though I disagree with the overwhelmingly misogynistic, materialistic message that I consistently hear. But it's not unique to any one thing in music or even one time period. As you guys were talking, I was thinking about the Old West. If you read the stories that were written back then, they were full of this preposterous idea that even if you knew you were going to die, if you didn't stand up and face the music, face a man who called you out, you were yeller, and that was a death sentence. What a ridiculous notion. Geez, I am a public shame because I won't go outside and shoot guns with this other guy who thinks that I called his sister a sow or whatever the hell like, what a dumb reason to die. But that was what was purported. That was what was put out there as, this is manly. This is virtue. This is being upright and true. This is being courageous, being willing to die over a bad hand at cards. And that's so dumb. And that existed well before rap. That existed before heavy metal or any other expression of our frustrations with society. And it really is, long story short, I talk too damn much, a lack of appealing alternatives. If we just had that, we would listen to rap, we would go, wow, that's an experience. That's something I should know more about. That's something I should understand. Maybe there are some societal damn issues I should be part of the solution in addressing there, and not have to worry about the kids manifesting those behaviors quite to the extent that we do today. That's on us, though.
Bro,
Funny on this one, like I kind of have an absolute outsider perspective on this. I'm white, I'm Canadian, and what's funny is some parallels. I grew up on the streets of Winnipeg, Manitoba. I was abandoned on the streets. I grew up with gangs, and I grew up in a very hip hop environment. And I was into hip hop from a very young age. But the Canadian version, we didn't have guns, we had knives, we squared up. It was a different vibe. But hip hop has been my main music source most of my life. And some of the lessons I took, like, you were talking about some of the, like, our era Norris and things, but also there was people like Chuck D. Don't believe the hype. 1988 Chuck D. Or even some of the other lessons I took, like from Wu-Tang, like cash rules everything around me, dollar bills, y'all, and and the Biggie Smalls, like fuck the world, don't ask me for shit. Everything you get, you got to work hard for it. Like
there you go.
took those lessons and I think it's teaching the youth, as well with male models, is critical thinking. Some of these rappers are fantastic businessmen, fantastic role models. They are investing their profits. They are impresarios. Jay-Z's a billionaire now, right? Like, that's not an accident. That's someone to idolize. Now, if you're rapping and you're making this music video about X and guns and bling, right? You need to teach the young folks, hey, that's excellent marketing, and you're falling for it. But he's printing paper, and he's going to see a guy like me who's going to invest that money for him. These are my smart guy glasses and things like that. So there's aspects of it that can be positive, but it's really, don't focus on the product, because the product is marketing. It's hype. It's to sell records. It's to sell videos. Focus on the process, the man behind it, and what they're doing with their money. Some of these guys are fantastic businessmen, and I idolize them. Like, I went from the streets to a business degree to I'm a pillar of the community, and it was all about paper and cream and all of that. And that's what me and my friends who were making stacks on the streets all idolized. It was, how could we invest this? How could we roll it into the next scheme? And I don't know if that's a Canadian thing or some of my Caucasian credit rating coming out in me or something like that. Even when I was a youth on the streets of Winnipeg. But it's really, the role models to teach them that and go, hey, you can idolize this guy all you want. But remember, behind him is a team of financial advisors and people and all of that. And that's what you need. You need to surround yourself with solid people, solid advisors. And it's not necessarily bad, but it's don't believe the hype. When you look at those rap videos, Chuck D, 19, don't believe the hype right there.
Ryan, all I can say is facts, and I would like to say I hope one day I can find this person. I've been looking, and we live in a world of technology. But I would love to find Rebecca Wallister from the Best Buddy program, because that young white lady saved my life. Brave enough to come to the hood, to come get me and take me outside the hood to show me the rest of the world. So commends to that young lady, because I don't know how she did it, because she had to go past every drug dealer in the world to do it. But salute to her, and she's a brave soul. Wherever she's at, I appreciate her, because she saved my life. Now, my next question is,
Dr. Parham had a question.
Who helped save your life? Dr. Bishop Parham.
His name was Richard Cannon. Richard Cannon was a white guy. He's actually from Maine. He was my swimming coach. He coached me all the way to the Junior Olympics. In Trenton, New Jersey. I grew up, like I said, with my great aunt. And Richard Cannon taught me one thing about swimming. He said, freestyle and butterfly is not the only two strokes that's in swimming. So this was a white man, stood about 5'5", had a powerful voice. And he always told me, he says, you know what? You can do better if you just try. All the way to the Junior Olympics, 1980 in California, he took me all the way there. And to this day, at his funeral, I spoke at his funeral and I sung at his funeral. And I give honor to that man, and I thank God that God put that man in my path to help me get to where I am at that today.
Brother Jack, who helped turn you around?
It was actually at my I was locked up as a youth. I was in a youth facility in Missouri. It was called Valley Springs Youth Ranch. I was there for a year and a half, and I was 11, 12, and I was getting beat up badly. I was, abused from stepmothers. I ended up there, And then I was abused by gangs there. You know, I was like the only white kid there. And I was the youngest there too. So I had to learn quickly, you know, to defend myself. And I was, you know, I wanted to kill myself. And I was at that point where I was ready to die. I was ready to kill myself. And I remember this preacher, his name was Preacher Bill, this old guy with a big beard, straight from the Ozarks. He gave me a Bible initially, and I went ahead and used the pages to smoke dirt weed with it at the age of 12, which is this really shitty weed that we would get at the facility. Like it would just be around. It's like dirt practically. But they caught me smoking it. He came back and he gave me another Bible and he started talking to me. He's like, what's going on with your life? You know, and he actually just, instead of, you know, all these people who were just like, yelling at me, talking down to me, you know, telling me how worthless I was, he actually sat down and listened to what I had to say and, you know, made me feel like I wasn't a piece of shit. And so I took that with me and I started, you know, going to services with him. There's Southern Baptist services, so they're pretty wild. But, you know, I gained a sense of community and love. And, you know, after a while, I still stayed in contact after I got out. And it really helped me through. You know, I still had challenges in my life. I still had a lot of challenges in my life. I have a lot of failures. I tell my wife that, you know, my whole life I've failed upwards, because I take the lessons of my failure and I try to improve upon myself. But he was a real big mentor. He kind of, I attribute him to me not killing myself because I had no one else to talk to at that lowest point and darkest point of my life. But now I'm grateful he did because, you know, with all the messed up things I have going on in my life right now, there's a lot of you know, value to my life and great things to come out of all those failures in my life. So I'm really grateful to him. He's probably passed away by now because he was like 70 or 80 when I was like 12, but God bless him wherever he is.
Thank you for that, Steve.
So I didn't really have a lot of positive male role models growing up. My father did 4 sequential combat tours in the early 90s in the Middle East before I was born. And as a consequence of some of that and a rough upbringing on his end, he wasn't the father that he always wanted to be. I had some bad luck with sports coaches growing up. I was really athletically inclined, but I had some sports coaches that just fucking ruined it for me, man. Like my first year ever playing football, I was in the 9th grade because I was too big for Pop Warner growing up. I was like too heavy for all the classes that my age was appropriate for. And so year one, day one, they put me on varsity and I was just a tackling dummy and it just ruined the sport for me. And so I completely left the sport. I had some bad luck with sporting coaches growing up and fell into bad crowds in school, dropped out of high school, became a homeless drug addict, ended up getting sentenced to prison. All in all, I did like 4 years. And when I was in prison, it was like my 3rd day in my permanent pod in Orlando at the main unit. And there was in the bunk right next to me was an inmate named Steve Winnick. And in the bunk next to him was another inmate named Clyde Tennant. And they were forming an AA group within that pod. There was 100 people in the pod, so there was enough people to do it. And they were forming an AA group. And because this was my long-term pod, I was there for like 2.5 straight years. And Steve took the time to take me through the steps. I ended up having enough time to take multiple people through the steps, who then took other people through the steps. And I maintained my sobriety now. Gosh, I think I have like 8 or 9 years.
Dude.
Awesome. Regrettably, Steve and Clyde both relapsed. Clyde relapsed while he was still in prison, and then Steve relapsed shortly after he got out. But to this day, I maintain sobriety, and there's a lot of drugs in prison, man. And I truly believe that I would have fallen in with a bad crowd and made bad decisions that would have resulted in my relapse had I not fallen into that AA group. So that's what I got.
That's what's up, Kevin.
Like Steve, dude, thanks for sharing that, man. I had no idea. I came to it late. I actually went through this phase, you know, troubled childhood, very angry, joined the military. Then 9/11 happened. So I had this this unending outlet for my existential rage. It wasn't until I had that taken away from me that I actually found the person, Scott Brangle of East Coast, West Coast Strength and Conditioning. I know it's so cheesy. I do fitness stuff, and this is the guy that like changed my life. But he really is. I was faking it. I was modeling the behaviors that I was getting positive reinforcement for. I was a good guy before that, before I hurt my neck, before I lost the Marines, because I liked the attention it got me. People liked me. People thought, oh, Kevin's a good guy. And I lived on that, you know, after growing up, not being ever enough for my mother, literally being told by my mom, you know, we've worked past it, Mom. I get it if you happen to see this. But she looked me in the face at one point and said, you know, if the house was burning down, I'd get your father out, your brothers and your sisters, the cats and dogs. And if I had time, I'd get you. Because she felt like being mean. Like she'd leave me in the house to fucking burn to death. Like that's just one of like 100 memories, as Tommy Lee Jones says in Men in Black. That's 100 memories I don't want. So I was angry. And I was a really good Marine, like top 5%. I got meritorious promotion boards left and right. I was serving in billets that were well above my grade. I was getting all of the attention and validation that I thought I needed. And then that was taken away because I got a nerve damage injury in my neck. And then I was suddenly the shittiest Marine. And then I was medically retired, and then I had nothing. And that all happened in like 3 months. So I had my whole existence taken from me, and I was mad. I was actually crushed, depressed, suffering from PTSD that at that point was undiagnosed, and suicidal. And instead of feeling all those things, I was mad instead. And I was really angry. And then I found Scott, and I was feeling sorry for myself one day. And I told Scott, hey, he ran the health and wellness. A world-renowned strongman coach was the person that Blizzard Entertainment, a video game company, hired to run their strength and wellness. They had no idea who this guy was. He was just local. And I lucked into that situation because I found in that a love of strength sports. And I went to him thinking, maybe I'll be able to bench press or overhead press, but I've got all this nerve damage. I can't do this. I can't do that. And he literally looked at me first time I met him and said, fuck you, shut up. Grabbed me by the ear. Not a euphemism. He grabbed me by the ear and drug me over to the squat rack and assessed me. 3 years later, I went from not being able to do a bodyweight squat under my own power without falling over to squatting over 400 pounds. I squat over 500 pounds now. That's crap for my size, but it's pretty amazing for where I started. 35 years old, disabled, spinal injuries, nerve injuries. I'm benching over 4. I can almost pull 600 this year. This week, I'm going to attempt to pull 600 pounds for the first time in my entire life at 44 years old. This man gave me a purpose, and he gave me my body back. He showed me that my life was not over and that I could determine what my value is for myself. And I just desperately wanted to give that feeling to other people. So that's what I've dedicated my life to. It's why I do all the stuff that I do. Is I want somebody else to feel what I felt in that moment, which was I actually matter. I believe I matter, and I am worth going to this effort for myself. And I've told him that, but unfortunately, Scott is emotionally constipated. And anytime you try and tell him, man, you really did this for me, his face like sucks in on itself and he like physically retreats from the compliment. Because he's emotionally stunted. He's a professional strongman, but that's the guy that saved my life.
Ryan. This is heavy. Jeez.
It's a heavy one. And I'm probably
you asked the question.
Don't know if I'm going to be as heavy, but I grew up in the projects of Canada, and all we knew was poverty, food stamps, welfare checks, 4 brothers, single mom. And, due to choices beyond her control, I ended up in my senior year of high school homeless on the streets. And that was on and off, drug addict, needle in my arm, crime, everything, all that kind of stuff. No excuses, no quarter. And what happened to me was that saved me at the time. And I ended up being homeless again after. But I got taken in by a girl I dated in grade 10. Her parents took me in off the streets one time and cleaned me up and let me stay at their house for 6 months. And what that did for me was incredible, because now, to be just blindly honest, this girl's family was rich. It was a rich girl I dated in high school. And what it gave me, other than a clean break at the time, I was about 19 years old. I'd been on the streets for about 6 or 7 months when she took me in, was it showed me the other side. It showed me that there's a possibility of a normal family. My mom did the best she could, but I mean, all we knew was welfare and food stamps. So here we have a successful family with a nice house, and speaking with her stepdad, who was a business person and wheeling and dealing, and he had a degree and he did business, and it showed me that other side existed. Like, wait a second, this isn't a foreign concept. This isn't on TV. This isn't something, going from like sleeping on the streets to sleeping in a bedroom in this mansion. It just opened a world to me. And then, I made some decisions and ended up right back where I was. But seeing that, and when I finally cleaned myself up, it was like, okay, how do I achieve that? Okay, I got to get clean. Okay, I got to go to school. Okay, I got to meet business connections. Okay, I got to get a career. Okay, and if I hadn't have seen that, what a normal family and what a economically successful people, how they lived, and just meeting them and talking to them and talking to her stepdad and all of that, I would not have known where to go or point myself in a direction. And it was like, okay, how do I get to that life? And giving me that direction, taking me in was amazing, even though I effed it up 3 times later, but I had never seen how the other side lives. And so that was the big lesson I took there, from poverty to like just seeing, wow, this is what rich people live like. And they, right. And I don't know if they're not super rich, but at the time, now I go, oh, they were just had good jobs, but at the time it was like, whoa, it's like the freaking Richie Rich took me in, right? But it was really being able to see how the other side, or what you can aspire to, that it exists, it's real, it's not a dream, it's not on TV, and all you got to do, and listening to her dad tell stories and how he got to where he was and built up businesses and all that, is what did it for me. And that truly, I look at myself now, and I've thanked her, I've mailed her Christmas cards all these years later, all that kind of stuff, because that was the exact, I can just right there giving me that future that didn't exist yet, but I could plot my way towards it.
Thank you, guys. This was very heavy, so we're going to lighten the mood a little bit. We're going to shake off the heaviness, and we're going to be assholes. So now it's time to get to the funs and the giggles. But the earlier part, geez, man, it was some serious issues unpacked. And the only thing I can really think of in this situation is, like the great one always say, you got to ask yourself, what if? What if I can pull off a miracle? What if I can really change my life? David Goggins. So that's the only advice I got for you kids out there. And try to stay away from the bullshit, because it leads to nothing. But recently on TikTok, the ticks of the talk, a gentleman jumped off the porch. He deleted the video. Poor him. Mr. Piece of Shit said, if you cannot press this and you cannot lift this, you ain't a fucking man.
Oh, yeah.
So I got all the fucking alphas here today. Yeah. I got guys who work in prisons. I got USPA champions. I got certified Marine /coach / go to war zones and rescue people. So I want to know, is it the weights that make you a man, or is it the personality and how you carry yourself that makes you a man? Because I thought my man jumped off the porch. He deleted the video because he was a sucker. So we're going to talk.
He got so much hate.
He got hate from everywhere. Yeah. I would have jumped in, but he deleted the video. I was just like, I just want to know, I thought it was the fact that I'm not out here being a piece of shit. I'm not out here killing people. And I came from one of the worst communities ever. Everybody I know in fucking jail. I'm free with federal government clearance. So I thought that's what made me a man. But hey, clearly I'm wrong. So let's unpack this.
Who was it?
I don't even know the ass clown name because he deleted.
Oh, it's not somebody who's like known for anything. Yeah, the only reason anybody knows who he is right now is because he was an asshat on the internet. Like previous to that, he had like 1,300 followers or something like that. Yeah, no, and most of his followers are hate followers now. Anything fucked up.
Anything for the clout. Like, unfortunately, the poor brothers, the Island Boys, they're on Twitter now kissing each other. So
they're on OnlyFans, and oh man, I've heard.
Are they actually related?
Yeah, they're brothers.
I'm putting it like this. I don't care.
Incest.
My cousin, my best friend. I'm not doing that for the clout. So, hey, God bless. Whatever your preferences are, your preferences are. But that's not why I'm going for the fucking clout. I'm good. I'm good. I will stick with my followers and be okay.
Woo!
Yeah, I don't. I got nothing constructive to add to that.
Kevin, you know about the video, so I'll start with you. How did the video make you feel as a certified coach, a Marine, a person who's been overseas rescuing children from horrible people, and probably had to lead a few people on behalf of Uncle Sam? So, how did that make you feel?
Look, it read to me. I was going to make a joke about the Island Boys video, but no, there's always somebody out there saying this is what it means to be a man. There's videos out there right now saying if you can't bench 225, you're not a man. And it's really easy to retort when all of these metrics that they're like, this is manly, are like in my rear view. But it was to get attention. It was to appeal to a certain really malleable, really gullible, ready-made audience that is going to automatically value that and then give them some support and maybe generate some hate comments, because hate comments, any sort of engagement today pays. There's the old adage of bad news is good publicity, or I can't even remember how it goes. But that's more true today than it ever has been, because engagement is what determines whether or not you get paid on social media. I made way more money when I was making drama content on YouTube than I do now. Manhood, to answer the question, is accountability. I was accountable for my actions, realized that I was making a negative impact with the style of video that I was doing. So I demonetized them. I said, I'm demonetizing these. I updated the description to say, these do not live up to the standards of my positive, constructive, supportive community, and I want to lead by example. I'm leaving these up. I left them up for a year in case somebody wanted to come after me. And then I finally took them down because YouTube was still directing people towards those videos like 2-3 years later, even after I said all this stuff and I make different kind of content now. That's accountability. I don't know anybody else who's cutting themselves off from $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month in ad revenue because they made a decision that I'm not doing the right thing. The amount of weight you can lift is stupid. It's dumb. Even the lifts that were chosen are dumb. What are the circumstances in life that perfectly mimic the squat or got the bench press? I'm gonna piss some people off right here. The most useless gym lift is the damn bench press. I'm talking about ubiquitous lifts. It's when in life are you pressed against an object and then exerting force in a perfectly linear fashion away from you with your entire body supporting? But you're not. The squat makes more sense. The deadlift makes more sense. I love the bench press. I want to get better at the bench press. But it is not a metric of how fucking strong you are. And an arbitrary number pulled literally out of just some dude's ass one day of 1.5 for your bench press, 2 times for your squat, 2.5 times for your overhead pressing your body weight, which I can do, and I'd be very surprised if that guy could, unless he weighs like 135 or 155 pounds. I weigh 260. When you can overhead press 260, then you're a man. That's so dumb. So yeah, I was like, wow, this is dumb, but I didn't get upset about it because I knew what he was doing. It was about getting engagement, which he did, but then he reached his threshold, which exists. You could be like, oh, cool. I'm getting the attention that I wanted. I'm going to get the revenue. I'm going to get the hit clicks. I'm going to get the likes. I'm going to get the hate comments. But there's a threshold. It's like, oh shit. Oh, that's a lot of hate I'm getting. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. I'm starting to question whether or not I actually have anything to say. And that's when they usually take their videos down.
Yeah, he pulled it real quick. I know you guys half you guys barely on TikTok and don't care about social issues. But my main question is, we're gonna start with Jack and work our way around. Are you willing to do anything for the clout? Really?
Obviously not. I have like 65 followers on TikTok, so I'm not doing
You got to
But,
get a brother. You got to
no,
kiss.
I'm-
Boy, you got to kiss your brother, man. You got.
no, I'm not kidding. No OnlyFans, no kissing my brother, none of that. I think the best thing you can do with these social media platforms is reach younger people and try to give something positive, even funny. Like with my content, I always just try to be funny. I try to be self-deprecating. I try to not be above any of my audience, and it relates. I'm getting a lot of the younger TikTok people. And at first, when I joined TikTok last month, I think I was like, oh gosh, these kids are going to murder me. You know what I'm saying? They're just going to troll the shit out of me. And then I got like one or two troll comments, but like then I got a bunch of younger people defending me in the comments. And I was like, oh, these younger guys aren't so bad. They're not as bad as we make them out to be. And they're willing to, hear you out. They're willing to listen. And I get a lot of comments from the younger people that are like, wow, you're 43, like you're crazy shape, dude. I hope I'm in your shape at 43 and stuff like that. And it's just like great. I'm like, awesome, man. I was like, and I try to do educational videos on how I get this way, because it didn't happen overnight. Like my journey happened like 5 years ago. I was out of shape. And I try to like, give, videos where I show my training style, I show what I eat and that sort of thing. And hey, if I can reach those 65 young kids, and help them build a physique, get strong, I mean, that's fantastic. But no, I'm not in it for the clout. I would love to make money off of it, but I just don't think I can. I'm definitely not going to do any spicy content for that, because what little integrity I have.
Oh, bro.
Just ended.
That was the Lord's will right there. He's back. He's back.
You lied.
You lied. Yes, you're going to do whatever for the clout.
It got censored.
Before we get Steve, Jack, in the best interest of your own mental health, never any of my comments. I've been called an Uncle Tom. I've been called a racist. I done been called it all. I done even been called a liberal. And that's a big sign. That's a big sign. Don't let this skin tone fool you. I know who I'm voting for, and it won't be Joey Biden. But at the end of the day, stay out of my comments because I'd have been called it all. So you got to have tough skin on TikTok. I just find it hilarious. For sure. I'm just like, it's so funny. Even with my own people, it's hilarious. So, yeah, man, unless you want to, you wanted to ruin your own mental health, you can dip in my comments, but it's no good for you, my friend. Steve, are you willing to do anything for the clout?
I'm not on TikTok. I don't have a Twitter. Never had a Snapchat. I don't. And at this point, I do use that as a way to project my social superiority over other grown men. When we start talking about TikTok, I just look them dead in the eye and I go, I've never been on that shit. And there is a moment of like, there's a moment of this perceived superiority. And while I say that in jest, I don't pursue fame in those avenues. The people on my Instagram are there because I'm a mediocre powerlifter, but I am a decent coach. And so outside of those two streams of clout, quote unquote, I'm not really interested in it. I don't partake in the drama.
Bro, this is my job. The job is to be a member of the public and to try to put my face out there. So therefore, I'm willing to take the ultimate sacrifice for all of us and let people say whatever they want to. Because at the end of the day, unless you're willing to come to Washington, D.C. and we handle this like I will handle it because I'm old school. Meet me in the parking lot of Gold's Gym and see whether or not you can really do all those things that you say on the internet. And I'm warning you, you're going to get your ass whooped by a nerd. And I feel that you're going to have to take that ass whooping because all my life, I walked away. All my life, I walked away from all the bullshit. All my life, that's what kept me out of jail. I walked away. It wasn't until I got to Spingarn High School I realized you can now walk away. And now what I do for a living, and they taught me how to really hurt people, this not going to be a fair fight. But if you want it, I'm going to let you have it. but it's not going to be fair. I got it here. Boom.
Sorry,
Ron,
battery died.
oh, baby.
Phone died.
Ron, are you willing to do whatever for the clout?
Not at all, man. I'm on the same page as Steve there. I have Facebook, I have Instagram, and mostly it's to document my own training for the coaches and some of the people that do follow me for, you know, I'm an older guy getting after it. I've won some powerlifting meets and, you know, did pretty good in the sport. And mostly what I do for the envy of everyone else is the travel stuff, because I've been all over the world, and then that's the one to make people jealous. But no, I'm not doing it for the clout, you know, not at all. Or would I care? It's clout to me is in my community locally amongst people at my gym. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that hopefully I'm a role model. Hopefully I have some clout in my community because I donate my time to charity. I do the right things. I, you know, think of those around me. That's where I'm chasing clouts in my neighborhood at home, man. I want people on my block to, you know, think about my clout just because I'm a good citizen and helping out the kids. Like that's, I don't care what some 14-year-old kid in his parents' basement, or more likely some 38-year-old guy in his parents' basement cares about me, because I'm going to go home to my fantastic body at 46. And I'm going to go have with my beautiful wife in my nice home, and he can just be in his mama's basement shit talking in the comment section. So I win. And then y'all that follow me on the Instagram, you all be jealous. I'm headed to Fiji in the fall to
Oh wow!
maybe learn
Awesome.
to surf, or, you know, right? So
I've got to see
get
pictures
some
of your
clout
big ass
there,
surfing. I need pictures and video of your big ass trying to surf, please.
Yeah. Clout. Kevin,
Ryan, how's the foot
in the
recovering?
we're all in the same space as me and Kevin. You're on YouTube doing your thing. You're on TikTok.
Yep.
You're on Instagram. We're all in the same spaces, Kevin. Are you willing to do whatever it takes for the clout?
Oh man, I've already demonstrated that I'm not. But I'm also doing really well just being myself. I'm doing so well being myself that there are people out there that are convinced I'm not being myself. And I was facing that today. So I posted a video that accidentally went viral. I didn't think it was going to. Like on Instagram, I get like 200 likes on stuff, whatever. But this is over 25,000 at this point. It's got like 250,000 views. It was just me being nice in the gym. Somebody walked through my camera and they were like, their friend grabbed him and pulled him away. And I was like, oh, hey, you never have to worry about that. My filming is never as important as whatever it is you're doing, right? Just simple video, right? I have so many people who are acting like Jesus came down and was bestowing kindness upon the Iron Church. And it's just ridiculous. All you have to do is be yourself. But I also have about 5% of the people who didn't watch the video at all who were like, F you, man. It's not a film studio. I'm going to come kick your butt. Oh, you suck. I hate influencers. Who do you think you are? This guy, I don't know what his problem is. I can't remember his name. It's Bench something. He's really angry because he hates influencers. I don't consider myself an influencer. I consider myself a content creator. I'm a coach. I have a broad reach because I've built a broad community of like 130,000 people across platforms. And he's like, well, I'm a 3-time champion. I never asked him a champion of what. It didn't matter. I was supposed to apparently ask him. I was supposed to immediately, validate that his opinion was superior to mine. And he's demanding to know who I think I am, who I think I influence. And that actually got me thinking. I mean, his angry diatribe got me thinking today. I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of people one-on-one, help them get stronger, help them get control of their weight, whether that's put on weight or drop weight or just get more satisfied with their body. I've inspired thousands upon thousands of people through social media to finally start taking their health seriously through the avenue of, I want to live longer and I want to have a higher quality life. I'm not trying to get a 6-pack ab. I'm not trying to get a 2,610 pound total or any of the rest of that stuff. Just have a better quality life and live longer to enjoy it. I wrote a freaking book that's a bestseller in its space. I've had wonderful opportunities just being myself since I stopped making drama content. All of that positive impact that I've made has been since I stopped looking for opportunities to shit on other people and do it the way that other people were doing it. So that says to me, I'm doing the right damn thing. And I will never look for an opportunity to take advantage of the algorithm ever again. That's 3 years ago. That's the last time that'll ever happen. So no, I won't. Like, will I eat the 1 chip challenge and sing and dance and do a workout? We already know I will. I did that. Okay. But that was fun. And that was at my expense. Like, I like things that cost me pain, tolerance, laugh at me. That stuff I'll do. And OnlyFans, I don't care. Like, if
Lincoln
little
Park.
mama wanted to make some extra money, she's attractive. I'm not disgusting. Like, let's make some money. I don't care. Look, work is work.
Kevin,
Wow.
What?
now you don't pay attention to hip hop, but Adam 22 learned a very valuable lesson. So let's stay out that lane, bro. Let's stay out that lane.
Bro, you say whatever you want publicly. I know you would subscribe. I know you subscribe like that.
Dr. Bishop Parham, you can easily start pimping the pulpit and telling everybody they're gonna get all this money from serving God. I can do whatever it takes to make it out.
Well, let me say this. First and foremost, I ain't gonna do anything for the clout. I don't lift 400 and 500 pounds. If y'all ever see me I'm not on Instagram and stuff like that, but I think I better get on it because I tell you, everybody to my Instagram and getting all these hits and stuff. But my thing is this: I'm on Facebook, y'all. I have a thing called Real Talk Tuesday. I say things that preachers won't say. I talk about just reality. I don't have time to pussyfoot around with nobody. Yeah, I said pussyfoot. I don't have time to pussyfoot around with nobody. I'm just gonna tell you, I'm gonna pull straight from the hip. And I like this dialogue because I was sitting here, I wrote down Uncle Pope on the road. I think like just hearing y'all it fits my platform. Hearing y'all stories, hearing y'all background, Uncle Pope on the road. We all need to come together and hit some of these places and just talk to people. And that's just how I am, even on social media. I mean, I have 10,000. I had 5,000 people on Facebook. I started deleting people because I'm just real. I don't like the BS. I don't like to be, shucking and jived around. And I like just hearing the stories that y'all are putting out. I like the laughter. I ain't been to the Fuji yet, but I'm gonna get there one day. Is that we say go on to Fuji, right?
Fiji,
Ryan?
right, Ryan, Fiji.
Fiji, yeah, I'm gonna get there one day. But
Mr.
that's just
Fuji.
me, like I said, I'm just a realist. No, I don't do anything for the clout. But what I will do is I will pray for you and then cuss you out if I have to have a Parham moment. People know that. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna get on what's it called, Snapchat, Yat or whatever. I'm gonna start getting on some of these platforms. Now I don't know about that friends thing.
No, don't do that.
Do that. Y'all see,
Hey,
it's not the place for you, Dr.
hey, wait a minute. I'm gonna kick it 100 with you. We done arrested some people behind being on that site. So yeah, we done picked up some 40-year-olds dating on the top up there. We done picked up some 40-year-olds dating like 15-year-olds. So yeah, but that's my thing. I'm on Facebook, y'all. And like I said again, I got Real Talk Tuesday. I preach on Sunday. I got Mad Monday, Frustrated Friday, and I say things that a preacher won't say. So if that's getting on the cloud, then that's just me. But I think, and I still say, I think we all should come together because each of us have an individual story that we can tell that I feel as though that can benefit other people. I'm willing to go to Duncan, Canada, because I've never been there.
All I can say is about the clout and all the misgivings on social media. I never take it personal because I was born in 1978, and the way we grew up, like Ryan said, we grew up with we square it up and we put on Boston gloves and we handle our issues like men. Now, if anybody ever in this universe want to challenge that, only thing I can tell you is I work at a federal government contract. You will get shot. Everywhere I go, I have my federal government issue license with me and my CCW, and I'm going to take you before you take me because I have a wife and responsibilities.
That's right.
Hey, I got something worse, Norris.
Huh?
I said, you got that pistol, right? You know, I can't say not a tough guy. I don't have a pistol, but I work in finance. I'll wreck your credit. I'm cold, man.
Ryan's my dog, right? Like when I say I know people, I'm talking about him.
With you no more. Give me a picture of Ryan, and he gonna fuck up your whole life.
Well, Norris, you posted that one thing that said like, "Oh, if someone slapped your mama, what would you do?" And I said, you know, right? And I said, well, if it was immediate danger, I'd square up, of course. But if it wasn't, I'd charge them, get a bullshit criminal record, and then I'd wreck their credit, and they would just doom them to a life of poverty for the rest of their life because revenge is served cold and stale and moldy, and they'll be wishing they never met me, and they're going to look at their credit rating every time and think of me is what's going to
That's diabolical.
Wait, hold on. Ryan going to commit a felony just to get a point across.
What do you think an ass beating is? You put somebody in the hospital, that's a felony too, right? But broken bones heal. Like, they're going to recover from that.
You ever try and fix your credit?
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
Fuck that. You might as well go ahead and take yourself out. Ryan, the reason I asked that question recently in Detroit, it was like my wife and family asked me about it because a young man had to make a horrifying decision to delete someone. His mother was in the carryout. Argument skewed. A grown man hurt in the face like 2 times. And
I saw this video, yeah.
For whatever reason, he had her CCW, and he had to make a decision whether or not he was going to take a life. And be honest, I don't know what the rules are everywhere else, but Detroit, Maryland, everywhere else, we have the strictest gun laws in the world. I cannot leave my gun in the possession of my own wife, who's a grown woman, because she's unlicensed. So that's already the young lady committed a crime by leaving her weapon unattended with a minor. But after all that, like the situation was complicated, but it's your mama, you gotta go, bro.
Watching that video, that guy could have easily killed that woman with the punches he was throwing at her. So you know the son probably saw that, and you know my mom's life is threatened, and he did. He took action. You know, it might have not been the best decision, but like, you know, her life was threatened.
Don't fight a grown man. That's stupid. I'm just like, it's grown men that don't fight grown men. I wouldn't put a 14-year-old in that situation. But at the end of the day, if you got the blinky on you and they punching your mama and it's right there, you gotta go. Sorry.
Yeah.
T-shirt. You on a T-shirt, your mama in the front row of the church with a black dress on. I don't know what else to say in those circumstances. Like I even told my own wife, my wife is a firecracker. She's wild. Like I was like, it's one time, I don't know if I told you about the story when she saw the real me. Me and Kimberly are on our way to Food Line. Kimberly drives like an old person. Some dude behind her decided he want to jump around, roll down his window, cuss her out. He must just see my ass in there. I jump out the car, approach his car, and I was going to do whatever it took to end his life at that moment. He decided to drive off. I tried to chase him. I ain't got the 4.3 no more. I couldn't catch him. But that's the first time I think Kimberly saw the anger within me. So I'm just like, I don't even know if I would be able to control myself in that circumstances. I would have probably deleted someone in that circumstance. You put your hands on my mother. I say my mother worked 2 jobs all her life, go clean up dirty people's houses and all types of others. Oh, you got to go. Sorry, you got to go. So, yeah, it's complicated. Complicated issues in the Detroit environment where young men have to make those type of decisions that they may have to delete someone on their mother's behalf. Sad. My phone's about to die, but let's wrap this thing up. Jack was giving me credit for my SWAT game. I'm not going to out my coach unless he want to be outed. And then if he wants to be outed, then I will let everybody know who's been helping me out. Until then, I'm going to mind my damn business. But I appreciate everybody supporting me, and I've came a long way. So what goals do you have coming up, Dr. Bishop Parham? What goals do you have coming up? What's your information if people want to connect with you? And then we go in the circle. And if want to out their self, they can out their self. Go.
Bishop Dr. Fulton Parham. I live in Goose Creek, South Carolina. Just got finished doing my last gospel recording. Well, I'm saying it's my last, but other than that, I'm on Facebook as Bishop Fulton Parham. It's been a pleasure and an honor. I put my email address and my phone number on it because I connected with y'all. I don't know if y'all connected with me, but I connected with y'all on so many different levels, and I thank God for it. But I'm on Facebook as Bishop Fulton Parham, and if I have a Parham moment, just know that I'm human. And I'm trying my best to get into this weight thing.
Let's go.
No, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not bench pressing 150 pounds. I ain't gonna lie. But I think that I'll get there one day.
Just move. Yeah, no, like you just made a bunch of friends that can help you out with that. So like
that's why I put my information down there.
Only thing
it's one-on-one. I got you.
This weightlifting journey or even physical activity journey, you must be a psychopath. No, people don't do this. Kevin.
Right now I'm writing a cookbook that should be done by the end of the month. I'm getting back into some content creation. I took a break because I felt like it, and it's so good to be able to just disconnect from it whenever I want and not feel pressure to do it. Small goals. I want to lift 600 pounds this week. Maybe I'll get there. That would be joyous, because if this middle-aged disabled guy with low T that started late can do it, absolutely anybody can. So that's the avenue that I'm approaching it from. Man, I'm just trying to make my second death take a long time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if everybody knows what that is. It's like the last time somebody ever says your name is your second death. So like, I'm trying to live the rest of my life to make that as long as impactful as possible. So the last time somebody says my name, the last time that I ever remembered on this planet is a long time from now, because I have made a big enough impact to touch that many lives. So that's what I'm working on right now.
And it looked like Steve had to drop out. So on behalf of Steve,
yeah, he did.
He's on every platform. Steve.lifts on IG, and everywhere else you can probably find them. You can probably find them mostly on IG. And he's been putting up some amazing work. Ryan.
My current goal is, I haven't talked about this much on the socials, but after 2 years of constant injury and rehabs, I'm stepping back on the platform in October.
Yeah.
Yes. Fucking go.
So I haven't stepped on a platform since I won North America's a couple of years ago. So the old man's making a comeback, and we're going to see if I can still put up 1,600 pounds.
Let's go, Ryan.
And,
You're an inspiration to all of us.
See what I got cooking. The last one was a broken leg and a surgery and complications, and like almost lost my foot. And now I'm back healthy, and let's see where it goes. But yeah, it's just a little local meet in my hometown, but it'll be the first one in a few years, and I'm going to see if it leads to anything, or I just go out on my own terms, or you know what I mean, like compete for fun. But it ought to be a blast. And then yeah, I head to Fiji in the fall, so maybe learn to surf. I'll send you a picture there, Kev, of
I need it.
Me trying to learn how to surf in Fiji, maybe, but mostly it's all back in the gym. I'm getting stronger again. So, not that I was ever like, I know by Gen Pop standards, I'm complaining about my strength level here, but, I wanted to be at the top of the game in powerlifting, and we might make a comeback, or we might just put up a nice little meet in my hometown for the locals and have a great time.
Brother Jack, please give your info before we wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at star 2R3934, on Facebook Jack Star, and I'm on the TikTok too. I forget what the handle was on that. But I just want to say what an honor it is to speaking to a group of kings like you. You guys are a huge inspiration. You guys really have really inspired me, and make me want to be a better lifter, be a better person. And this conversation has been really great for me. My goal is I'm going to do WRPF Nationals in Vegas in September. And so I want to break the deadlift record for California state record for my division. So I want to, that's my goal for right now. And then I'm going to drop down a weight class, and I'm going to try to take all those California state records with the WRPF. So that's just what I'm working on right now. Is just powerlifting and self betterment. Going through this anger management stuff and just becoming stronger physically and stronger emotionally.
Well, you can find me everywhere underneath a deer onk or some type of form of deer onk, but most of the time I'm underneath my deer onk. And if you like the truth and someone's going to be honest, no matter what side of the fence it falls on, unfortunately, I'm your guy. If you don't like the truth and you want someone to sugarcoat it for you, don't follow me. That's advice for you. All right, my goal, and the person raised their hand, so I can now name them. Me and Kevin are going to go to drug testing nationals next year. So we got a lot of work to do, but the comments have been on fire. Everybody has been commenting your work. Everybody is dropping.
You're much improved, man. You're doing all the work.
All the big dogs have been saying you're looking fucking outstanding, and they've probably been wondering why. So, commensurate to Kevin.
Got it out. Got it out. Love it.
So, he's been working with me behind the scenes, and he's cleaning up a lot of the stuff. And the goal is drug testing nationals. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yes, let's go. So, Kevin, we got a lot of work to do, but we can get there next year.
Yes, sir.
We missed this year, but we can get there next year.
We're both old. We take time to warm up.
All right, guys. I don't know what everybody's religion preference is, or whether or not they get a little spicy when we talk about God. So if you run an exit, this is the time to exit. But Dr. Bishop Parham, can you please close us out with words from the Bible?
Lord, we thank you for all those who are here today, God, on this evening, God. We thank you for allowing us to come together as real men, talking about real issues and real problems. And Lord, as we depart this place, but never your as we depart this place, but never your presence, we ask that you cover everybody under the sound of my voice, bless their families, give them the power to govern their families, to do what they have to do as real men. And Lord, for those who are in the weight room, God, we ask that you will give them the power of a lion to lift what they are attempting to lift, to give them the goals that they're and put no obstacles in their way. Give them the power just to do what they're striving to do. God, bless everyone. Give us the power to do and to go to the greater heights and deeper depths, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Touch everybody. Amen.
Amen. Well, it's no other way you can lead us, but thank you guys. And if I didn't make a decision 4 years ago now to follow some guy I met on YouTube who was kind of sort of crazy, beefing with another guy who was telling a bunch of lies, we might not be having this conversation today. Not saying no names, but I'm glad I made that decision 4 years ago to follow that guy. It led to some tremendously great people. And I'm always thankful I decided to change my own life. And I have no other choice but to stick to it. I was going to take a part-time job, and then I thought about it. I was like, that'll been the enemy. So sometimes you can't get your personal time or your free time back. And I know physical fitness is the boogeyman in society, especially within Black society. But get out there and do something. You ain't got to lift a bunch of weights, but go out there for a walk, change your eating patterns, and stop eating some of this junk that they tell you that's good for you. That's the only advice I can give people. You guys have a great night. Salute.
Amen. Have a good one.
All right.
See you.